Diet definition. Stands for the dietary approaches to stop hypertension. The diet is based on study results published in 1997. The study showed that a diet rich in fruits, vegetables and low-fat dairy foods, with reduced saturated and total fat could substantially lower blood pressure. It is the diet recommended by the National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute, part of the National Institute of Health, for lowering blood pressure. Origins. High blood pressure affects about 1 in 4 in the United States and United Kingdom and is defined as blood pressure consistently above 140/90th mm of mercury. The top number, 140, is the systolic pressure exerted by the blood against the arteries while the heart is contracting. The bottom number, 90, is the diastolic pressure in the arteries while the heart is relaxing or between beats. The concern is the higher the blood pressure, the greater the risk for developing heart and kidney disease and stroke. High blood pressure is known as the silent killer as it has no symptoms or warning signs. The study by the National Lung, Blood and Heart Institute, NLB, published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1977, was the first study to look at the effect a whole diet rich in potassium, magnesium and calcium foods, not supplements, had on blood pressure. The study involved 459 adults with and without high blood pressure. Systolic blood pressures had to be less than 160 mm Hg and diastolic pressures 80 to 95 mm Hg. Approximately half the participants were women and 60% were African Americans. 3 eating plans were compared. The first was similar to a typical American diet, high in fat, 37% of calories, and low in fruit and vegetables. The second was the American diet, but with more fruits and vegetables. The third was a plan rich in fruits, vegetables, and low-fat dairy foods and low-fat, less than 30% of calories. It also provided 4,700 mg potassium, 500 mg magnesium and 1,240 mg calcium per 2,000 calories. This has become known as the diet. All 3 plans contained equal amounts of sodium, about 3,000 mg of sodium daily, equivalent to 7 grams of salt. This was approximately 20% below the average intake for adults in the United States and close to the current salt recommendations of 5 to 6 grams. Calorie intake was adjusted to maintain each person's weight. These 2 factors were included to eliminate salt reduction and weight loss as potential reasons for any changes in blood pressure. All meals were prepared for the participants in a central kitchen to increase compliance on the diets. Results shows that the increased fruit and vegetable and plans lowered blood pressure, but the plan was the most effective. It reduced blood pressure by 6 mm of mercury for systolic and 3 mm of mercury for diastolic, those without high blood pressure. The results were better for those with high blood pressure. The drop in systolic and diastolic was almost double at 11 mm of mercury and 6 mm of mercury respectively. These results shows that the diet appeared to lower blood pressure as well as a 3 grams salt-restricted diet, but more importantly, had a similar reduction as seen with the use of a single blood pressure medication. The effect was seen within 2 weeks of starting the plan, which is also comparable to treatment by medication, and continued throughout the trial. This trial provided the first experimental evidence that potassium, calcium, and magnesium are important. Eating plan. Food group. Daily servings. Serving sizes. Grains 6/8 1 slice bread 1 ounce dry cereal cup cooked rice, pasta, or cereal vegetables 4/5 1 cup raw leafy vegetable. Cup cut up raw or cooked vegetable. Cup vegetable juice fruits 4/5 1 medium fruit. Cup dried fruit. Cup fresh, frozen, or canned fruit. Cup fruit juice fat-free or low-fat milk and milk products 2/3 1 cup milk or yogurt 1 oz cheese lean meats poultry, and fish 6 or less 1 ounce cooked meats, poultry, or fish 1 egg nuts, seeds, and legumes 4 to 5 per week. Cup or 1 oz nuts 2 tablespoons peanut butter 2 tablespoons or oz seeds. Cup cooked legumes, dry beans and peas fats and oils 2/3 1 teaspoon soft margarine 1 teaspoon vegetable oil 1 tablespoon mayonnaise 2 tablespoons salad dressing sweets and added sugars 5 or less per week 1 tablespoon sugar 1 tablespoon jelly or jam. Cup sorbet, Gelatin 1 cup lemonade. Whole grains are recommended for most grain servings as a good source of fiber and nutrients. Servings sizes vary between cups, depending on cereal type. Check the product's nutrition facts label. Source: National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute, National Institutes of Health, Department of Health and Human Services. Illustration by GGS Information Services. Thomson Gale. Dietary factors and determinants of blood pressure than sodium alone. The original DASH plan did not restrict sodium. As a result, a second DASH sodium trial from 1997-1999, published 2001, looked at the effect the DASH diet with different sodium levels, 3,300, 2,300 or 1,500 milligrams, had on blood pressure. This is known as the DASH sodium diet. The highest amount recommended by the 2005 U.S. dietary guidelines is 2,300 milligrams. The amount recommended by the Institute of Medicine, as a minimum to replace the amount lost through urine and to achieve a diet that provides sufficient amounts of essential nutrients, is 1,500 milligrams. The results shows that the combined effect of a lower sodium intake with a DASH diet was greater than just the DASH diet or a low salt diet. Like earlier studies, the greatest effect was with a lower sodium intake of 1,500 milligrams, 4 grams or 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt, particularly for those without hypertension. For this group, the systolic dropped about 7.1 mm of mercury and the diastolic about 3.7 mm of mercury. However, the reduction in blood pressure for hypertensives was 11.5 mm of mercury for systolic and 5.7 mm of mercury for diastolic, quite similar to the reductions seen with the DASH diet. Description: the diet is based on 2,000 calories with the following nutritional profile: total fat, 27% of calories saturated fat, 6% of calories protein, 18% of calories carbohydrate, 55% of calories cholesterol, 150 mg sodium, 2,300 mg potassium, 4,700 mg calcium, 1,250 mg magnesium, 500 mg fiber, 30 grams. These percentages translate into more practical guidelines using food group servings. Grains and grain products, 7-8 servings per day. 1 serving is equivalent to 1 slice bread, half a cup of dry cereal or cooked rice or pasta. These foods provide energy, carbohydrate and fiber. Vegetables, 4-5 servings per day. 1 serving size is 1 cup leafy vegetables, half cup cooked vegetables, half cup vegetable juice. Fruits and vegetables provide potassium, magnesium and fiber. Consuming the full number of vegetable servings is a key component of the diet. Fruits, 4-5 servings per day. 1 serving is 1 medium fruit, half cup fruit juice, 1/4 cup dried fruit. Low-fat dairy foods, 2-3 servings per day. 1 serving is equivalent to 1 cup milk or yogurt or 1 ounce, 30 grams. Cheese. Dairy provides rich sources of protein and calcium. Meat, fish, poultry, 2 or fewer servings per day. 1 serving is 2.5 ounces, 75 grams. The emphasis is on lean meats and skinless poultry. These provide protein and magnesium. Nuts, seeds, and beans, 4-5 servings a week. Portion sizes are half cup cooked beans, 2 TBL seeds, 1.5 ounces. 40 grams. These are good vegetable sources of protein, as well as magnesium and potassium. Fats and oils, 2-3 servings per day. 1 serving is 1 teaspoon oil or soft margarine. Fat choices should be heart healthy unsaturated sources: canola, corn, olive oil. Key terms: cardiac arrhythmia, a group of conditions in which the muscle contraction of the heart is irregular or is faster or slower than normal. Cochrane reviews. Evaluations based on the best available information about healthcare interventions. They explore the evidence for and against the effectiveness and appropriateness of treatments in specific circumstances. Dietary Guidelines for Americans. Dietary guidelines published every 5 years since 1980 by the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, and the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA. They provide authoritative advice for people 2 years and older about how good dietary habits can promote health and reduce risk for major chronic diseases. They serve as the basis for federal food and nutrition education programs. High-density lipoprotein, HDL, often referred to as good cholesterol. HDL carries cholesterol away from cells and back to the liver where it is broken down or excreted. Hypertensives, individuals with high blood pressure. Low-density lipoprotein, LDL, often referred to as bad cholesterol. It carries cholesterol from the liver to the cells and can cause harmful buildup of cholesterol. My Pyramid, a guide of what to eat each day created by the U.S. Department of Agriculture based on the 2005 Dietary Guidelines for Americans. Normotensives, individuals with normal blood pressure. Premier Study, a research study that tested the effects of comprehensive and simultaneous lifestyle changes on blood pressure, weight loss, exercise, and a healthy diet. Sunflower, saturated and trans fat consumption should be decreased. Sweets, 5 servings a week. A serving is 1 TBL pure fruit jam, syrup, honey, and sugar. The plan still allows for treats, but the healthier the better. An example breakfast menu is cornflakes, 1 cup, with 1 teaspoon sugar, skimmed milk, 1 cup, orange juice, 1/2 cup, a banana and a slice of whole wheat bread with 1 tablespoon jam. Suggested snacks during the day include dried apricots, 1/4 cup, low-fat yogurt, 1 cup, and mixed nuts, 1.5 ounces, 40 grams. These guidelines are available in the National Institutes of Health, NIH, updated booklet Your Guide to Lowering Your Blood Pressure with DASH, which also provides background information, weekly menus, and recipes. Although the DASH diet provides 2 to 3 times the amount of some nutrients currently consumed in the average American diet, the recommendations are not dissimilar to the 2005 U.S. Dietary Guidelines, United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, and U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. It also resembles the USDA Food Guide Pyramid, which advocates low-fat dairy products and lean meats. The main difference is the emphasis on more fruit and vegetables servings, 8 to 10 as opposed to the 5 to 13 as in the U.S. dietary recommendations. In addition, it separates nuts, seeds, and beans from the meat, fish, and poultry food groups and recommends 4 to 5 weekly servings of nuts, seeds, and dry beans. The DASH diet was not designed for weight loss, but it can be adapted for lower calorie intakes. The NIH booklet provides guidelines for a 1,600 calorie diet. Vegetarians can also use the diet, as it is high in fruits, vegetables, beans, seeds, and low-fat dairy, which are the main sources of protein in a vegetarian diet. Function. The DASH meal plan is a healthy diet recommended for those with and without high blood pressure. Benefits. The DASH diet may lower blood pressure as much as taking medication, but without the risk of unwanted side effects. The dietary changes can also have immediate effects comparable with drug therapy. A blood pressure reduction of the degree seen in the DASH study is estimated to reduce the incidence of coronary artery disease by 15% and stroke by 27%. Precautions. Adding high fiber foods to the diet should be done gradually to avoid side effects such as gas, bloating, and diarrhea. It is important to increase fluid at the same time, as fiber draws water into the bowel. High fiber with inadequate fluid can cause hard stools and constipation. Increasing fruits and vegetables increases the potassium content of the diet. For healthy people with normal kidney function, a higher potassium intake from foods does not pose a risk as excess potassium is excreted in the urine. However, individuals whose urinary potassium excretion is impaired, such as those with end-stage renal disease, severe heart failure, and adrenal insufficiency may be at risk of hyperkalemia, high levels of potassium in the blood. Hyperkalemia may cause cardiac arrhythmias, irregular heartbeat, which could be serious. Some common drugs can also decrease potassium excretion. Individuals at risk should consult a doctor before starting the DASH diet, as higher potassium intakes in the form of fruit and vegetables may not be suitable. Care should also be taken with potassium-containing salt substitutes. Risks. Currently, there are no known risks associated with the DASH diet. However, The long-term effects of the diet on morbidity and mortality are still unknown. Research and general acceptance. Studies over the years have suggested high intakes of salt play a role in the development of high blood pressure, so dietary advice for the prevention and lowering of blood pressure has focused primarily on reducing sodium or salt intake. A 1989 study looked at the response and intake of 3 to 12 grams of salt per day had on blood pressure. The study found that modest reductions in salt, 5 to 6 grams salt per day, caused blood pressures to fall in hypertensives. The best effect was seen with only 3 grams of salt per day, with blood pressure falls of 11 millimeters of mercury systolic and 6 millimeters of mercury diastolic. More recently, the use of low-salt diets for the prevention or treatment of high blood pressures has come into question. The trials of hypertension prevention Phase 2 in 1997 indicated that energy intake and weight loss were more important than the restriction of dietary salt in the prevention of hypertension. A 2006 Cochrane review, which looked at the effect of longer-term modest salt reduction on blood pressure, found that modest reductions in salt intake could have a significant effect on blood pressure in those with high blood pressure, but a lesser effect on those without. It agreed that the 2007 public health recommendations of reducing salt intake from levels of 9 to 12 grams/day to a moderate 5 to 6 grams/day would have a beneficial effect on blood pressure and cardiovascular disease. The effectiveness of the DASH diet for lowering blood pressure is well recognized. The 2005 Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends the DASH eating plan as an example of a balanced eating plan consistent with the existing guidelines, and it forms the basis for the USDA My Pyramid. DASH is also recommended in other guidelines, such as those advocated by the British Nutrition Foundation, American Heart Association, and American Society for Hypertension. Although results of the study indicated that reducing sodium and increasing potassium, calcium, and magnesium intakes play a key role on lowering blood pressure, the reasons why the DASH eating plan or the DASH sodium had a beneficial effect remains uncertain. The researchers suggest it may be because whole foods improve the absorption of the potassium, calcium and magnesium, or it may be related to the cumulative effect of eating these nutrients together than the individual nutrients themselves. It is also speculated that it may be something else in the fruit, vegetables, and low-fat dairy products that accounts for the association between the diet and blood pressure. The Salt Institute supports the DASH diet, but without the salt restriction. They claim that the DASH diet alone, without reduced sodium intake from manufactured foods, would achieve the desired blood pressure reduction. Their recommendation is based on the fact that there are no evidence-based studies supporting the need for dietary salt restriction for the entire population. The Cochrane review in 2006 shows that modest reductions in salt intake lowers blood pressure significantly in hypertensives, but a lesser effect on individuals with normal blood pressure. Restriction of salt for those without hypertension is not recommended. Researchers have evaluated other dietary modifications, such as the role of potassium, magnesium, and calcium on blood pressure. Substantial evidence shows individuals with diets high in fruits and vegetables and, hence, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, such as vegetarians, tend to have lower blood pressures. However, in studies where individuals have been supplemented with these nutrients, the results on their effects on blood pressure have been inconclusive. There is some debate on whether patients can follow the diet long term. The 2003 Premier study, a multi-center trial, which included the DASH diet when looking at the effect of diet on blood pressure, found that the DASH diet results were less than the original study. This difference is thought to be because in the DASH study participants were supplied with prepared meals, while participants on the Premier study prepared their own foods. As a result, only half the fruit and vegetable intake was achieved in the Premier study, which affected the overall intakes of potassium and magnesium. The researchers concluded that compliance to the DASH diet in the long term is questionable, but agreed that patients should still be encouraged to adopt healthy interventions such as the DASH diet, as it does offer health benefits. In terms of heart health, the DASH diet lowered total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, but it was associated with a decrease in high-density lipoprotein, HDL, the good cholesterol. Low HDL levels are considered a risk factor for coronary heart disease, CHD, While high levels are thought to be protective of heart disease, the decrease was greatest in individuals who started with a higher level of the protective HDL. Researchers agree that the reasons for the decrease in HDL levels needs further review, but concluded that the overall effects of the DASH diet are beneficial to heart disease. While long-term health effects of the DASH diet are yet to be established, the diet closely resembles the Mediterranean diet, which has been shown to have other health benefits including a reduced risk for heart disease and cancer rates. It is thought that the DASH diet is likely to offer similar health benefits.